Oh, I smell the 70s coming on. I'm Victor, and straight out of the Gen experience, those unmistakable aromas, or odors, that permeated during a special time we all took for granted, and sometimes yearned to return to. So, let me take you back with these scented memories of the past. Waxing poetic about a time gone by, a time that brought me joy is certainly up my alley. If it's up yours, then please click the like and show me you care. Consider subscribing to help the channel grow. Now, get ready to smell yourself back through time. Rope. Decorative rope. Looped, bunched, curled, twisted, and knotted, adorned our walls and hung elegantly from our ceilings. Nature began to creep inside during the decade in the form of plants, and these natural materials that made up the most celebrated accessory, macramé. Although you could make it on your own, that was just not the norm. Macramé was easy to find, and you could pick it up everywhere and hang it anywhere. You could even wear it? Nope. I'm not even sure about these macramé van drapes either. Having this in your home was a status symbol, and the closer you went in to check it out, the stronger the frayed sinews of imperfection slowly seeped in through your oral factories with the earthly aromas of dirt and fiber. Millions of dust-caked strands infused that boho stench throughout the room, as there is nothing in the air that your plant holder or owl wall decor wouldn't latch onto. Were you very Charlie? Violets, peach, watermelon, lily of the valley, jasmine, and rose. With that profile, Charlie was recommended for spring or summer. Do you remember this incredibly popular woman's perfume that topped the 70s fragrance list? Named after a man, Revlon's founder, but marketed by a real angel. Tiffany Wells from the 4th season of Charlie's Angels, otherwise known as Shelley Hack. She helped elevate this woman's perfume to easy elegance. Classy and sophisticated, women of the 70s could reach the pinnacle of chic living with a spritz of this popular eau de toilette. Charlie is still made today and very popular. But as time rolls by, the newcomers and upstarts that flood the marketplace cause a once top-of-the-chart product to get lost in the shuffle, lose its status from the dozens and dozens of options. Options that are all too similar, I might add. What was once a standout and filled every department store and evening out with its familiar aroma is hardly recognizable today, but might be identified in a crowd by those who still remember, those who are still a fan of the light floral bouquet that was femininity of the 70s. No, this isn't the sound of the 70s, but the smell. You may think it was just plastic, but you'd be wrong. It's Tupperware. And even if you weren't smelling your various size containers that stored your hot dish leftovers, you were smelling those simple, smooth colored drinking glasses, or cups is more like it. Whether the thin, almost opaque, or the thick designs, the curved lip or the straight, these common drinking cups served up our favorite Kool-Aid for a generation or two. The scent was undeniable plastic at first, with the stale cupboard storage smell coming later, and eventually whatever liquid seeped into the pores of that plastic after repeated use, be it Tang or Lipton instant iced tea. Presented in a variety of earth tones like avocado, harvest gold, rust, or carafe, after all those years of fast food novelty glasses shattering in the 80s, maybe these strong 70s options were the better choice, although certainly not as elegant as your Empire Strikes Back glass from Burger King. The smell of a bowling alley. In other words, cigarettes and league night. Obviously, a strong aroma of the era was any type of cigarette, and most locations provided them from this unique vending machine. Any place without ventilation was basically a cloud of tobacco smoke from a variety of folks getting their fix. This included your dad's Buick with a full ashtray. It was, however, Winston-Salem cigarettes that were most popular in the decade. A simple teal pack of smokes, classy in presentation and attractive enough to kids who would get their own version that smelled much nicer. Cigarettes were so prevalent that yes, everything absorbed that smell, even macramé, and there was little that we could do about it. So common that the only way to notice it was to be a non-smoker who lived in a non-smoker's home. Only then was your secondhand smoking limited, but you could actually recognize what all other smokers could no longer detect. Salisbury steak, mashed potatoes with gravy, mixed vegetables, and a blueberry muffin. Sounds like you'll be stuck in the kitchen for hours with that banquet. Or maybe tonight you'll feast on banquet TV dinners that is. Or Libby's, or the big daddy of them all, Swanson. An instant success when invented in the 50s, it was when the house became dual income in the 70s.
Are you gonna cook?
and time to slave at the stove was out of the question that TV dinners lost their shame as a replacement to a home-cooked meal. With such a diverse menu, you might think this staple of the 70s smell is just the smell of, well, dinner. But with all these culinary delights being heated at the exact same temperature of 475, for the exact same time, around 25 minutes, in the exact same container, making certain foodborne bacteria were killed in the process, the swirl of odors from any one of the many varieties available, along with the segmented foil tray and whatever chemicals were used in that chutney dessert, became its own unique culinary cacophony of aromas that aren't quite discernible, but vaguely familiar. Just like the 70s. Along with the sickening amount of banana leaves.
It's obnoxious.
Blanche's house overdosed on rattan furniture in The Golden Girls, but that was an evolution of the strong presence and natural beauty of the outside world we continued to bring into our homes in the 70s with Wicker. Wicker was everywhere, and like Macramé and the plants that filled many hanging baskets, Wicker furniture and accessories were all the rage, especially that star attraction, fit for a star, the butterfly wicker chair. While rattan is material made of a species of palm, Wicker is actually named for the weaving technique, and can be willow, reed, or bamboo. All natural materials that bring their outdoor scent indoors, like the smell of the dirt from a pitcher's mound. They also came with the splinters from where the weaves snapped. The sharp pain those caused when sitting on a fresh break was just a hazard of choosing these chairs over conventional ones. Like most natural things, they have an earthy musk to them. The smell is neither overly pleasant or offensive. That is, until later, when the product begins to smell bad. The musk becomes musty with mildew and bacteria, perhaps from getting damp or humid over time. Wicker gone bad is an entirely different thing, and along with the creaks, the snaps, and the breaks, the smell is just as memorable, but just not always in a good way.
Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
Cute, but let's go back a little further to when this brand was one of the only choices to smell like a man. This is Old Spice. It was the 70s when the original shaving soap and aftershave were joined with Old Spice fragrances. Reflecting the nautical theme, Old Spice was dispensed from a buoy-shaped bottle with stopper. Nutmeg, anise, orange, vanilla, and cedar were just the top aromatic hints, but it must have been the tonka bean that had all the men smelling like a truck. Well, the scent was synonymous with masculinity. Tough but clean cut, elegant night out combined with barroom brawl power. Hell, the first signature fragrance in the 70s was called Burley. The original scent is now labeled classic. The sailing ship is now a sailboat, and since 2016, the aftershave original aroma has been replaced altogether. A smell of the times that is truly a thing of the past. Vinyl records never truly went away, but we all remember when they were listed on the endangered species list for some time before this modern resurgence. They will never have the glory they once did, but even with the new popularity, will they still retain the smell of excitement? Sure, the record album itself had a smell, but I'm thinking about the sleeve, that familiar and comforting cardboard sleeve you slid the vinyl out from. Almost instantly, a record in its heavy stock paper sleeve or bifold slipcover attained that grandma's attic or basement smell we all just can't put our finger on, but came to expect. The same smell that comes with an old paperback romance novel. No, not desperation or sexual frustration. The smell that today is the odor of every second-hand or thrift store. The scent of nostalgia. Likely because of how they were stored, the dust that attaches itself to the edges of the thin cardboard pocket and the aging paper, along with the patchouli oil and other natural ingredients around at the time. A record would acquire its own signature smell that many of us have trouble recalling today. Imagine you're at the 1964-65 World's Fair, and when in the Swiss pavilion you see their biggest contribution to America's pop culture, Fondue. Marketing to the US with beautiful alpine men and women surrounding a communal pot sharing what else? Swiss cheese. By the 70s, all kinds of cheese made its way into the pot for the most social of dinner parties, where we gleefully dipped our skewers of French bread. Earth-tone boilers filled with the pungency of Gruyere or Appenzeller, common in American grocers, along with a mix of white wine, kirsch, and cornstarch, was joined by and often overshadowed by the strong and distinctive odor of Sterno, a burning gel of alcohol to heat the contents of your fondue pot. Sterno and cheese was now a typical scent for a dinner party, as would Sterno and cooking oil for the meats, and Sterno and chocolate for strawberry desserts. Just part of the burgeoning fondue tradition by the time. Sterno was the smell of fondue night, and gathering around the cauldron of goodness came along with a slight noxious odor of cleaning fluid or bug repellent. Like your fine wine, Sterno was the perfect pairing to a cheesy 70s fondue party night. Today, it is still a staple of Swiss chalets after skiing, but sadly does not fit our unfortunate need for speed type of living in the US. Perfume fragrances, body lotions, creams, and in this case bath oil options are endless. Anyone can make them, and they do. And sometimes that's all it takes to topple an iconic product, or in this case, a scent so familiar to the population.
Avon calling.
And they still come with their most popular product, Skin So Soft. My mother always bought hers from the Avon lady during a nice weekday visit.
Good morning, Joyce. Avon calling.
Why, Peg?
Do you remember your Avon lady? Skin So Soft bath oil came in a distinctive bottle with 3 S's in a light sans serif font. With its bathroom color scheme, the teal or aqua-topped bottle sat there by the sink or tub for years and became an air freshener of sorts. With the subtle scents of balsam, evergreen, and herbs, it seemed pleasant to everyone in the household as it did not scream stereotypical girly smell. The products have expanded, the bottle has changed, and the company states that although Skin So Soft original bath oil properties are the same as the inaugural product, it has changed over time with modern packaging and improved formulas. Read that as the smell of the 70s and its comforting soft woodland scent is no longer wafting in your bathroom. I couldn't miss an opportunity to include a toy in our 70s aromas. The new plastic toy smell of the 80s action figures would be all the rage later, but the distinctive and natural smell of wood made playtime even more pleasant with Lincoln Logs. This was real wood, colored and stained in a traditional manner, which meant the color could rub off and stain on your carpet. When the grandparents told you they played with sticks when they were kids, while playing with your iconic logs, you could proudly respond, "So do I." The pieces were originally made of redwood, for God's sake, so they smelled as such, like a forest. You could also argue with your mom that playing with Lincoln Logs was like playing outside if you wanted a slap in the mouth. They looked like hewn logs that old Abe would have constructed his first log cabin with, and they smelled as familiar as your favorite climbing tree. Each barrel of Lincoln Logs felt as if Paul Bunyan himself had felled these trees, carved these notches, and prepared these simple but creative toys for our enjoyment. Besides a brief lapse in judgment during the 70s when they switched to all plastic,
Heresy!
they quickly returned to wood, and Lincoln Logs still feel like the real thing. Plain and simple. So real, you have to make sure that the dogs didn't get to them as they were some of their favorite chew toys. We were stacking real wood, trees from logging teams, and building cabins our imaginations could run away with. Lincoln Logs smelled of nature, the woods, and the 1970s. What were some of your favorite smells of the era? Odors and aromas that act as a time machine to a laid-back time we believe couldn't get any better. Let me know if you used any of these and discuss in the comments which were your favorites and which you despised. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show enough to click that subscribe. I'd also love it if you gave me a like or a share too. Anything to support my endeavors of the generation that gave us the Gen Experience. Please check out our other great content on the channel. And until next time.
Avon calling.